Hello and welcome. So during my Nose to Build series where I start with no cash and make 5 build, I was asked if I could make a QBD guide. The upside of killing the Queen Black Dragon is in the EOC it has become quite easy to melee it since melee armor offers really good range defense as well as melee defense. Also since melee has a significant advantage over range or mage through the use of ultimate ability Berserk. This is going to be a guide on how I personally do the QBD. If Jagex does plan to make further changes to the combat system, if it's significant enough, I'll make an updated guide and link it somewhere in the description. If not, just stick to this one. So to start off, I'm using a Chaotic Claw because of the attack speed. When using weapons with the attack speed of fastest, like claws or maces, when you're using defensive abilities like Resonance, Anticipation, Preparation, and even Berserk, your character sneaks in and auto attack because of how fast the weapon is. So that's why I'm using this. So when picking out your weapon, choose either a claw or a mace. For potions, I just use Super Attack, Super Strength with an Anti-Fire potion with an Anti-Fire shield, and some prayer pots, and the rest is just sharks. Now the book in my inventory is used to teleport to player-owned ports where I have a bank there, which is really good if you have a bank there. If you don't, it's still good to have because the fastest way to get to the QBD lair is actually by teleporting to player-owned ports and then running to the lair from there. It's about a couple seconds faster than using the lodestone. Also, it's always kept on death. So before showing the fight, should you die during the fight, your grave should appear inside the Rotworm lair or sometimes outside depending on how many people die. But once you're inside the lair, you'll get an arrow pointing to your grave on the minimap. Usually the grave is outside the QBD portal, and when looting your grave, always check under your grave for untradables because I lost a Chaotic Claw by not checking once, and that just kinda sucked. To start the fight, there is a quick pass option if you right-click the portal. Once you're inside, you're given about 17 seconds to prepare for the fight. So during this time, you could pot up. If you brought a Beast of Burden, set the left-click option to take Beast of Burden. Other useful items to bring is the Tacklebox from Fish Flingers with a Bunyip, and remember to save your anti-fire potion. If you wish, position your cameras like how I have it here so that you can step 2 steps south and 2 steps east or west, whichever you prefer. This will be useful later on. Once the fight starts, your first goal is to get up to your ultimate Berserk and then the Threshold Assault right after. This is a pretty common combination of abilities that do a lot of damage with each other. So this is a guide of how to do it without the super anti-fire potion. So you're forced to either wear a normal anti-fire dragon shield or a DFS. Either way, you're going to have to wear a shield. So to take advantage of this, you need to wear some kind of weapon that have attack speed of fastest, such as Chaotic Claw, a mace of some sort, and it is fine. The reason for this is when you use defensive abilities like Resonance, Anticipation, Preparation, even when using Berserk, you'll see your character. Well, you won't see the animation, but you'll see the hit splat of an auto attack sneak in while you're doing the animation. This is just because of the weapon speed is so fast that within that 2.4 seconds, it sneaks in an auto attack. That's about it. So looking at the chat box, you'll see a message that the QB is taking a huge breath. Oh, also I use Resonance here because I have a full adrenaline bar and Berserk is on cooldown. But back to the chat box message. This is a warning that the QBD is going to send out firewalls at you. There are 2 things you can do. Either run through the gap in each wall or run through the firewall like I do here. I'll be showing the second option I said because the first option is simple to do. It doesn't require a gun. But I've slowed it down here to show you when I click to go through. And you may have to adjust when you click depending on how good or bad your ping is. So what I did there was I waited for the firewall to appear. When it did, I stepped 2 steps south, and then I clicked an ability to run up to the QBD to attack it, making me run through the firewall and not get hit. This requires precise timing within 0.6 seconds of when you need to. If you don't do it right, you're going to get hit. So this takes practice, but it saves a lot of time. If you plan to camp the QBD a lot, I would highly suggest perfecting this, or near enough where it's useful. Now you see that the HP bar on the top is pretty much gone. When it hits 0, an artifact is unlocked, leading to the next phase. The QBD has a health bar for each of the phases, a total of 4. When each bar goes down to 0, you'll have to tag the artifact to start the next phase. But between the time when the health bar is 0 and you tag the artifact, the QBD will regurgitate rotworms from its belly to enter the fight, and the worms will stay there throughout the entire fight unless you kill them. But you don't have to kill the worms to kill the QBD. It's just that if you don't, they'll just keep dealing damage to you. So you can decide to tank them or not, it's up to you. Now, another one of the special attacks the QBD has is the ability to summon tortured souls. It summons souls based on which phase you're in. I'll replay this a few times to show how it's done. When the soul is summoned, each soul will summon a shadow under you, each shadow dealing around 1000 damage. The shadow will chase you until it hits a target or an NPC. To avoid this damage, you'll have to wait a second after you see it spawn, then run 2 steps west, so that now you're on the other side of the soul from where you started. If done on time, the shadow will hit the soul, dealing damage to the soul instead of you. Then the shadow will disappear and proceed with the fight. You want to keep your eye on one of the souls. They have a chance to resummon themselves, summoning a new shadow. You're still given a few seconds to sidestep them to avoid the shadow, so still pay attention. This again requires precise timing, but with enough practice, this will save you a lot of food. The shadows will deal damage to the first target it hits, including you, the souls, as well as grotworms that spew out from the Queen Black Dragon. Now that we're done with the second phase, the second artifact to the southwest is unlocked. Unfortunately, if you're melee, it'll summon some grotworms because of just how far away you are from the artifact. Usually you get about 1 to 2 grotworms. So at this point you want to focus on killing the QBD as fast as possible through use of offensive abilities. At the start of each phase, from here on, you want to stay as high HP as possible because the damage from the grotworms will add up, as well as from the shadows should you mess up. Another unique ability that the QBD has is the ability to siphon HP from the souls. The important part of using the melee method is the souls are weak to melee, or they're just heavily underpowered. But either way, usually 2 abilities is enough to kill 1 soul. So if you wish, if you're melee, you can kill all the souls right when they spawn pretty quick. So if you want to do this, you don't have to worry about them resummoning for a while, but killing the souls is not required to kill the QBD. Also, the reason I stand in this specific spot here is for this exact reason. One of the holes in the firewall is right where I'm standing. So if I do miss the timing, there is a chance I won't get hit by the fire. So actually, back to talking about the firewalls. With precise timing, you could get 2 abilities off in between having to run back to dodge the firewalls. If you do get hit by the fire, just take a few seconds to resync yourself with the firewalls. It's better to miss 1 ability than to get hit for like a 1600, especially if you don't have access to soul split or higher sustained items. So a lot of this seems like a lot, but I'll make notes at the end summarizing what to know. But the QBD has the ability to change its defense. Blue crystal means it'll take 25% more melee damage, but 25% less magic damage. Brown armor is just the opposite. It'll take 25% less melee damage and 25% more magic damage. But when the QBD's HP bar hits 0, the next artifact to tag is to the southeast. So when meleeing, blue crystal is kind of what you want. There's no way to kind of choose which crystal you get. But when it does switch to the blue crystals, with Berserk and blue crystal alone, that's 250% more damage than with one assault with Berserk and blue. That can take out an entire bar of HP. This is the last phase. You want to make sure you're full HP because when the souls spawn, they each summon a shadow that in total can deal close to 3500 damage. So it's a good idea to save up. During the 4th phase, you want to pay close attention to warnings in the chat box. The QBD has many special attacks that are punishing if you do not evade them, but easy if you know how to react to them. I'll give a few tips on screen that are usually good to know. Such as after using an ultimate, you can eat a shark. You won't get a free auto attack in, but you won't lose any adrenaline since you have none. Another one is when running to and from an artifact, feel free to eat to full HP as well as use abilities on the way to get your adrenaline up. You'll get adrenaline even if you don't hit a target, but you are required to have a target. Now comes the hardest part of fighting the Queen Black Dragon, the 4th phase with the 4 souls. When meleeing, it's difficult because 2 souls spawn near you, but the other 2 spawn far away from you. So the only consistent way I've found to deal with this is to do the same as before. You wait for them to spawn, run through one of the souls so the shadows will hit the soul you ran through. This only deals with 2 of the shadows. The other 2 are harder to manage without having to run around the map, to run them into other NPCs like the Grout Worm right there. So I just chose to ignore the last two and focus on killing the QBD to end the fight. The QBD also has the ability on the 4th phase only to breathe extremely hot flames directly in front of her. It deals 50% less damage if you're on the sides like the west or east side, and so it's not advised to tank the damage in front of its face. But if you have a full adrenaline bar, you could use Immortality or Barricade to null out some of the damage. Immortality makes you invulnerable for a few seconds after you die, long enough for the extremely hot flames to dissipate, and while Barricade nulls out all damage. The last ability the QBD has is unique to only the 4th phase. It is the time stop attack. A soul will be summoned to either the southeast or southwest corner. The soul will chant for around 10 seconds before the time stop spell is completed. So to stop the spell, simply slay the soul. With melee, 2 abilities is usually enough to kill it. And remember to use T on your keyboard to target the soul. The downside is, in the EOC, it's kind of more difficult to have both eyes on the southeast and southwest side. So just try your best to keep your eyes on both sides. The minimap also helps. And, well, should you fail to slay the soul before the spell is completed, your character will be frozen for about 5 to 7 seconds. During this time, you cannot perform any action, cannot eat or swap prayers, and the QBD will be able to continue attacking you. So this could be very punishing if the QBD decides to just use extremely hot flames, firewalls, or even resummon souls right after the time stop. So it's advised to kill the soul quickly. So that's pretty much most of what you need to know about the QBD. I'll repeat the text as well as leave some notes on screen very quickly. This is mostly a guide on how to melee the QBD, so just use Pray Melee plus PAT or Turmoil, whichever you have access to, Anti-Fire Potion, and remember to reset the Anti-Fire Potion before it runs out. The QBD special attacks consists of Fire Waves. Just step 2 steps south, wait 1.2 seconds, use an ability to run through the firewall to attack the QBD, and repeat as needed. Then there's the souls, where just wait 1.2 seconds after it spawns, run through a soul so the shadow follows you but kills the soul instead of you. And remember, the soul can resummon itself, so do pay attention to that. Then there's also the QBD could siphon the souls, where the QBD will start healing itself if the souls are still alive. So when you see this happen, just kill the souls, use T to target them. The last one is Extremely Hot Flames. This only happens on the 4th phase, where basically just step to the east side or west side so you don't take as much damage, and that's pretty much it. The last part is the QBD could change its armor, where it takes more damage to one style but not the other, but the one you're really concerned with is when it changes blue, where it takes 25% more melee damage. There's no way to choose which armor it changes to, but if it changes to blue armor, it's really beneficial to get to your ultimate berserk and then assault right after, and that's pretty much it. So the upside of killing the QBD is it drops the pieces for the Royal Crossbow, which is, it's pretty consistent. It's not rare. It's pretty common. It's like 1 out of 16 for the pieces, and they hold a pretty stable price. So this is pretty consistent money, and in the EOC, it's fairly easy to do with around level 70 to 80 sets, and that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, feel free to message my inbox or leave a comment below. As always, thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.